Hi, CPC friends. Since we will not be meeting for the prayer service for the last two Sundays leading up to Christmas, I thought I might share some of the readings that would have included in those prayer services. These in particular come from Adam Hamilton's book, The Journey. And so I have one today that gives a little bit more insight into the stories of Elizabeth and Mary that we also covered in last week's sermon. Tradition places the home of Elizabeth and her husband Zechariah in Ein Kerem, a village on a hill just a few miles, less than an hour's walk, from the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Ein Kerem is mentioned in Jeremiah 6:1 and Nehemiah 3:14 as Beth Haccherem. Today, the town is visited by hundreds of thousands of pilgrims each year who go to worship and pray at the churches that mark both Mary's visit to Elizabeth and the place where John the Baptist was born. There is also a spring located in this town known as Mary's Spring. Ein Kerem was 80 miles from Mary's home in Nazareth. This journey by foot would have taken perhaps 9 days. Mary would not have traveled alone, but would have made the journey with folks who were on their way to Jerusalem. It is likely that Mary explained to her parents that she had learned of Elizabeth's pregnancy and volunteered to go and help her during the pregnancy. How else would she explain to her parents that she wanted to travel so far from home to see Elizabeth? Further, Mary stayed with Elizabeth until the end of Elizabeth's pregnancy, which might indicate that Mary had come to help Elizabeth until the baby was born. The fact that Mary was willing to travel 9 days across 3 mountain ranges to see Elizabeth speaks volumes about how she was feeling. It is interesting to note that the first person in all the Gospels to call Jesus Lord was Elizabeth, and she proclaimed it even before Jesus was born. This passage sets the stage for the rest of Luke's Gospel, which is a story of the birth, life, teachings, ministry, death, and resurrection of the Lord. Luke's traveling companion, the Apostle Paul, notes the importance of the confession that Jesus is Lord in his letter to the Romans. If you confess with your lips that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved, from Romans 10. Elizabeth's insistence on driving home that point helped Mary see what William Barclay called the paradox of blessedness. Sometimes we think God's blessing involves gaining money, power, and prestige. Blessedness is often associated with a life of comfort and ease. When we describe our blessings, they often include our homes, our jobs, our health, and wealth. But Mary's blessedness wasn't material. It wasn't born of security or physical well-being. Mary's blessedness came from being a part of God's plan to be used by God for God's kingdom. Her blessedness was in the fact that she was chosen by God to bear the Messiah. When you pray, "Bless me, Lord," and likewise when you say to someone else, "May God bless you," be careful what you pray for. It may be that the blessings of God that you pray for will come with challenges and adversity. Again, God's blessings are not about ease and comfort, but rather about the joy of being a part of God's work, being used by God for God's purposes, and being accompanied by God's presence, particularly in the face of adversity. That is the paradox of blessedness, and it is what we see when the young, pregnant, and unmarried Mary was told by Elizabeth that she was blessed. Please join me in prayer. Today's prayer was put together by the chapel team at Lancaster Theological Seminary. Holy God, we give thanks for your creation, fragile yet fruitful, enough for all. We give thanks that you call us into community where love and justice may flourish, enough for all. We give thanks that you invite us on this Advent journey. Awake, curious, longing to meet you, we set out for your table of grace. You light our path one step at a time, beckoning us onto a way that offers us new eyes to explore the vision of the promised one, new senses to feel the heartbeat of the vulnerable one, new courage to share the urgency of the ruler of peace. One more step, one more stretch, one more challenge takes us deeper into the mystery of your abundant life, a world healed, renewed, all nature, all people at peace. We give you thanks for sending us Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us, whose life, death, and resurrection have become for us the way to find you, to know you, to join with you in creating your new heaven and new earth. Amen. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you are having a blessed Advent season.